guys, so today we got a pretty special video because we have an Exway X1 Pro Riot electric skateboard. So as you can see, this is the box it comes in. It's quite a large box, but it's not too thick and not terribly heavy either. I would say maybe 18 pounds to 20. Now I know the board is much lighter than that. Let's cut the tape. Alright, so there is actually a retail box inside. Oh, that's a really nice touch. And we can see the profile of the board. Wow, that looks really thin here on the picture. Alright guys, and the retail box is super nice. It even has a little handle here for carrying it. And it says Exway Riot on it. Born for freedom. So on one of the sides, we have some information here. So we can see the model number is the X1 RT, which is Riot. That's our input voltage for charging. So here's the net weight, which is 7.4 kilograms. And I'm guessing that's about 16 pounds or so. So as you can see guys, this board is not too heavy. So here's the gross weight. That's with all the packing material and other accessories. Product size, package size. Alright, well I'm really excited to open this thing up. I really like how they put this print here on the back of the box with the board. Super cool. Alright, so let's check this thing out. Yeah, it looks like it's packed really well. We got this nice soft foam. It's like a top layer. And there's our board, guys. And that's one beautiful board. It looks awesome. I love the color combinations of black and this gray here. Very nice. And that's cool. We got a little arrow here pointing to the front. Well, so far it looks amazing. Let's go ahead and pull it out. It appears to want to come out with the whole foam. So it did come out by itself. It was just really snugged in there. So the foam was holding on to it. But wow, guys, I'm super impressed with this thing. Such a beautiful board. Look at the detail on these wheels. So these are 85 millimeter. 80A, so I'm guessing that's the compound of the rubber. So that's the wheel type. Very nice. And I can't get over how slim it is. I mean, look at my hand here, guys. And I'm just, you know, kind of like tucking on the board. It's ultra slim. It almost doesn't look like electric longboard. It looks just like a normal one. And if you do choose to get the X1 Pro, you're going to get hub motors, and then these external motors will be gone. So because this is the Riot version, which I really wanted, because with the Riot version you get a normal wheel and tire in the back, which is quite important to me for where I'm riding with rough roads. Not only that, with the belt driven system you get more torque and power. So we're going to take a closer look at all the details. Let's go ahead and see what else is in the box. So you guys can see how nice the board was cradled. It looks like we have a centerpiece that comes up. Okay, and so here we have all of our accessories. So it looks like we have a product manual and a few other things in there. Looks like a little promotional flyer here from Exway. Very cool. Alright, so it looks like we get extra belts. So we get 2 extra belts for each of the motors. And look at that, we also get a little bracelet. It says Born for Freedom. And it has the Exway logo on it. Might as well put that on. I'll put it on my right hand. Very nice, I like it. Alright, so we get a universal tool. So this is for multiple things. You can adjust your trucks, how tight they are, and also take off your wheels. And it looks like we got another tool inside. Okay, so it's a Phillips screwdriver with a little Allen wrench on the end. Yeah, very nice. We got the logo here on the front. Alright, so let's grab this power supply is what it looks like, or the charger. So it does say 51 volts, so 1.5 amps. I definitely like it that it's not huge. It's actually quite small, so you can bring it with you. And it looks like it has a little LED light here. And here we have the power cord that'll plug into the brick. So underneath the charger, a few more things here. So it looks like a USB to micro USB cable with a little Allen wrench in there. And also a bunch of little bolts. Hard to see, but there's a bunch of little tiny bolts. And I'm guessing that maybe you were going to open up the board and you would lose some, you'd have, you know, quite a few extras. And we also get a pretty large Allen wrench, probably for something also. Alright, and we'll save the best thing for last, which is the remote. So this is what the remote looks like. It's actually on the smaller size and actually quite thin. So on the back side we have the branding, the serial number. So at the end of it we have a little strap and also a micro USB port to charge. But this thing is slender. It really feels good in the hand. And it's got like this rubber texture to it, kind of like a coating. So it feels soft. So on the top here we have the wheel that I guess accelerates and then brakes. And you guys can see it's even marked there. So you could use that as indicators when you're riding to kind of see where you're at. So that could be pretty useful. And on the front face looks like we have one button and then a little display here that'll tell us some information. Very nice. I'm really liking the remote. It feels really good. Alright, so let's go back to the board. Man, I'm still amazed at how nice this thing looks. So let's start with the top. On the top we have this grip tape here, and it's actually not too rough. It's got this nice medium to it where it's on the fine side, but still seems to have plenty of grip. So the grip tape itself is actually a pad also. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's like a couple millimeters of like soft pad underneath the grip tape and between the hard part of the board, and I think that's made so there's a little bit more shock absorbent, and you can kind of feel it even if you push it with your finger. It kind of dents in, but ever so slightly because it's so thin, and I think that really helps with vibrations. So that's a really nice touch there. So the main deck is some kind of, looks like high durability material that seems to be very scratch resistant. I'm guessing they use this because not so much of how great it looks, but for durability reasons. And it covers the whole bottom, and it's definitely not a bad look. It is textured, so looking at it really up close seems like it's kind of rough, but actually, you know, if you step away just a little bit, it actually looks great. So we got really nice trucks, and it looks like they're made by Seismic Aeon. So look to be very nice branded trucks. And we do have a little shock pad sandwiched there in between the board and the truck. It's going to help also take away some of that vibration. So something else that's kind of interesting are these orange dampers here, and they look kind of like cone shaped. So they're larger towards the mount, and then they get thinner as they go out. Definitely look quite unique and interesting. So I wonder if that has to do with the riding characteristics of this board. Not to mention they also look great. So we do get really nice 85mm wheels, and you guys can tell the bearings are excellent. So this is a brand new board, and it already spins well, and everything is dead straight. Alright, so let's go down. So here at the back of the board we can see that there's a metal plate. It looks like there's a sticker here. Go ahead and pull that off. So the sticker here just kind of gives us warning about the risks and what could happen to you if you don't, you know, be careful. So they have to put this on there to make sure you understand. So if you're new to electric skateboarding, longboarding, then, you know, you should definitely consider being careful, because these things are definitely no joke, especially a board like this that's very powerful. Alright, so this metal plate here kind of just tells us our model number. Then here we have the battery, which is 193 watt hours, and that's quite a large battery, so we should have a decent range. Exway claims it's about 16 miles, but I'll be happy honestly to get anywhere in between 12 to 14 miles would be great, considering how thin this board is and all the batteries are in there. It's just unbelievable. Past that, we have a power button over here. It's a nice rubber button. It looks like it also has a light to it. And the part that's a little strange here, and I'm guessing because of the Riot version, they made the motors go on the inside, which I definitely prefer than them going to the out. It's just a much cleaner look. But that makes it really, really hard. Let me see if I can show you guys to get to our charge port, which is right underneath the motors. There's a little rubber flat there, and you guys can see it's a charge port there. So that's a little funky, to be honest. I almost wish they could have maybe relocated that to somewhere else. Maybe the Riot version here was kind of an afterthought for the hub motor X1 Pro. Alright, so we have two large motors, guys. I mean, these things are huge. You can see that it says Exway Riot on the motor here on the cap. Powered by Hobbywing. So I'm guessing Hobbywing has something to do with these motors. Here we can see there's some more writing. It says Exway Riot 5255, and it's 160 kV. So yeah, it looks like very nice, high quality, powerful motors here, which are 1500 watts each. You know, we got 3000 watts of power here. So this is what makes the Riot, you know, very powerful. Being belt driven also should give us an enormous amount of torque. So we have these really nice covers here. They are plastic. It's a really nice touch how they covered them up and just give it a nice look. Kind of see here on the side. We have really high quality belts made by Continental Conti Tech. So I'm guessing that's like a really high-end belt. And it says here, engineered in Germany. Not sure where it's made in, but in any case, it's a really, really high quality belt. Very nice. So on the back truck here, we also have the Seismic Aeon, the same kind of bushings. And here you can kind of see where the power wire goes. It loops around and goes down through the truck. So one of the nice things about the X1 Pro here is that you could have the Riot version or the regular hub version, and this whole truck here is interchangeable by just unbolting those bolts, and then there's pins here that plug into a socket. So if you wanted to have the Riot version and the regular hub motor version, you could do that, and it would be very easy to interchange these. Alright guys, so that's pretty much the overview of the board. So I think we should go ahead and put that on charge. So let's go ahead and grab our charger. So it's about a 5-foot reach or so. So when we plug it in the outlet, we get a green light. Now this charging port in here looks kind of interesting. I think it's probably magnetic. If that's the case, that's going to make it much easier. Alright, so I'm going to lift the little rubber cap. Well, there it goes. Okay, so it is magnetic, so it just kind of magnetized. And when it did, you guys can see the little button here turned red. And our brick turned red here too, so. Alright guys, so it looks like the board is charged. So we got a green on the brick, and it's actually red still here. So I guess this just indicates that it's plugged in. So let's go ahead and unplug it, and that's as simple as just pulling on it, and it comes right out. And actually the little cover just kind of shuts on its own. Alright, so I'm really excited to power this thing on. Hold this button here. Okay, so we get a little Exway. It says disconnected. Sorry about the refresh, that's just the camera. This is not actually blinking like that. So let's go ahead and try to power the board now. And there you can kind of see that the remote connected. Sorry for the flicker, can't really do anything about that. It's a really nice looking display. So over there we have battery on the board, which is 100%, and then we have battery on the remote, which is 91%. I guess I could have charged the remote a bit, but that's okay, 91 is good. So the next part looks like our speed selection, which is 1, and it's up to 15 kilometers an hour. Okay, so if I click on this button, it goes to number 2. Okay, so number 2 is max speed. So let's go ahead and see how these motors spin up. Oh wow, that's actually a lot quieter than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so the noise comes in as you go faster. So it's definitely audible and definitely not quiet. And as I throttle it there, you guys can see the kilometers per hour can show. It shows us how fast we're going. So we're up to 21 there. Alright guys, so one of the things this board can do is connect to your phone, and I think this is where a lot of the settings will come in to control the board. So download the app, which is called Exway Board. So I already downloaded, so let's go ahead and open it up. So here it looks like we need to connect the device. Now we have the Exway option here. So it looks like we're going to need to enter some kind of code. Let's try the 1234 code, see if that's it. Nope. Let's try the 0, 4 zeros. Okay, so it looks like maybe we've got something here now. Only the mode for beginners is accessible. Okay, so the board actually starts with just beginner mode. Okay, so we are connected. Look at that. Here we can see the board and what it's called. And so we can actually change all kinds of different things. We do need to change that to miles per hour. So we are on safe mode. So okay, so here's all the levels that it gives us. So safe mode only goes to 2. So let's turn off safe mode because we kind of know what we're doing a little bit. I'm definitely not a pro, but I've rode electric skateboards. But if you're a beginner, you know, make sure you get comfortable first before you go crazy. So we have some options for standby, change gears while moving. That's interesting. Free mode. Okay, so the free mode I think is on the scroll wheel if you accelerate, but then if you go backwards, once it stops, it goes the other way, backwards. So if you want to go backwards, you probably have to choose the free mode because the remote doesn't have an option to go backwards. Cruise control, probably definitely don't want that. Okay, then we have turbo. Now, I'm not sure if I'm ever going to use turbo, but I think we should maybe check it out. Here we can choose our power system. Okay, and here we can kind of set our gearing up. So first, second, third, acceleration curve. Change gears while moving. Maybe we need to initiate that. So here we have the dashboard, so you can actually monitor exactly what your board is doing, battery voltage and all that. So I want to change my kilometers to miles per hour. I think that might be over here somewhere. Okay, so we have some settings here. Okay, so here we have language. Let's check out what kind of language. So they have 2 languages, and then units. There we go. Now we can change it to miles. Here we go. So now it says miles. Very cool. Actually, I just noticed they have a little hot button here for the curves on the acceleration. If you click on novice, it's quite slow. And then race is quite fast. And then custom, you can adjust it yourself. I guess I'm going to put it on race and be really careful so we can feel the power. So once you go back to the dash, you can see that, that's all our stats. And the phone actually communicates with the remote. So if you click on like the settings, the remote will disconnect from the board and connect to the phone. Alright, so let's hop on this thing and see how it feels. I'm just going to do a slow acceleration start. Alright, very predictable. Very good brakes. Alright, so we're on the road. Alright, so I switched to level 2, and I am in race mode, by the way. So 1 is a little bit slow, but good to kind of get the feeling of the board. But 2 should give us a little better acceleration and things like that. So let's go ahead and try to go. Oh yeah, it's really good. Not crazy, but definitely nice. 3 is going to give us 35 kilometers, which is what, about 20 some miles. We got a lot more sharper curve on the acceleration on 3, so. Oh yeah, oh man. Yeah, 3 was great. And I hit 25 pretty quick. So I don't know why my remote is still in kilometers, even though I changed it in the app to miles. So maybe there's another way to change that on the board somehow between the remote. So it's 40 kilometers an hour. I think 90% torque curve or response time on the remote. So this should be crazy. I gotta be really careful with this one. All right. Oh yeah. Honestly, that wasn't a huge difference between 3 and 4, but it was definitely noticeable. So if you know what you're doing, you definitely want to be in the higher power range. It feels really good and it goes. So I'm going to go number 3 for now, and we'll just kind of cruise around. 3's got plenty of power. It's fun to ride. So because this board has normal wheels, the rough roads that I got here actually are not bad at all, and I think this pad here with the couple millimeters of cushion is helping like crazy. I'm not finding myself getting beat up at all, even though the deck is not too flexible, or seems like not flexible at all. It seems to handle the little rocks and just cracks in the road really well. So if I go out on the road where it's smoother, it's really nice then. So let's do a little brake test. I'm gonna speed up and then try to stop pretty quick. So speeding up, going real fast right now. So I'm gonna slam the brakes. Oh man, these things are crazy. Wow, the brakes are great. Definitely love the brakes. The brakes are amazing. All right, well that's good. So one of the things I'm noticing is these bushings here. I think I need to tighten them up just a little bit because they're quite soft right now. So I'm able to really flex a lot. I need to probably go back and tighten them up a bit. At higher speeds, I'm having a little bit of wobble. But for being such a long deck, it's really easy to turn. So for lower speeds, it's great. All right, so I stopped for a second to tighten up my trucks, but you guys can see what our status is so far. I only went 1 mile, 1.1 miles, but I've been doing a lot of B-roll shots, so a lot of slow moving, high powered, wasting battery life, but we still have 80%, and it's estimating that we can still go about 12.9 miles on this charge. So the board connects to the app really well. It shows all the information you need. The one thing I wanted to note real quick, so under the skateboard settings, we actually have an odometer here of the total miles this board has. Whenever you change any of these options, you have to click save changes and exit. If you don't do that, it doesn't save it. But yeah, I've been riding on the race, and it seems to be just right for me, at least. Third gear is a good medium for sure. So I'm going to tighten my trucks up a bit, and then I'll go ride around and see how many miles we can put on this thing. All right, so right now we're going down the hill, and I'm not even doing anything. You can see we're rolling. It's picking up speed just rolling, so it does have a pretty good roll even with these motors. I don't know if you guys can hear, but it's got a really nice whine. All right, so we're going to go up the hill. So this is not a crazy hill, but you know, it's a decent one. And about 190 pounds on me, this thing has no issues whatsoever. Alright, so now we're riding on the sidewalk, and maybe you guys can hear, but it actually takes the sidewalk really well. It's not crazy loud. There's a little hitting sound because these cracks are quite large, but it does reasonably well for sure. All right, so I decided to pull over because I've only went 3.9 miles, which is 4 miles almost, and it's saying I got about 4 miles to go, but I don't think that's correct because our battery voltage is barely 30%. So I'm not sure what's going on, maybe because it's cold outside, and also I've been, you know, riding this thing a lot harder than I thought I would because once I tightened the trucks, it was very stable. So I'm able to go really quick without feeling nervous, and I think that's what's burning my battery because I'm doing really high speeds. So it doesn't look like this thing will even make it to 10 miles at this point. But I don't think this was a very fair chance because I did a lot of B-roll with a lot of burning out and doing crazy stuff in circles and things like that. Alright, so I'm just gonna roam around some more, and we'll see how far we can get this thing. Alright guys, so I'm back, and I drove a couple more miles, so I got a total of 6 or so, but you can't see it here because I actually restarted the board or did something with the remote where I reset everything. But in any case, right here we can see I got 6 miles exactly on the odometer. So it's showing me that I can go another 4.7 miles, and maybe I'll believe that because the percentage hasn't fallen too much. So I think it's reduced my power kind of and has been conserving it. So I could probably get this thing to 10 miles if I drive it easy for sure. So overall, in a normal riding, fully charged, this board should easily get 12 miles on a charge. But I think the reason all this reset is because I was trying to figure out how to put the remote on miles, and I actually figured it out, guys. So if you just turn it off, by the way, when you turn the remote off, the board turns off by itself. So to change it to miles per hour is you hold this button and don't let it go. If you let it go, it won't go into this menu. Not the flicker again. Let's see if I can get rid of it. Alright, it's overexposed, but at least there's no flicker. Here you can see you have some settings. Okay, so the button just selects. If you want to scroll, you have to use the scroll wheel here to go through the options. So we got 5 options here, and the 4th one is the speed unit. So here you can see we can change it to miles. Now we can exit, and now we have miles per hour instead of kilometers. Since I powered up the remote, the board just turns on itself. I guess you don't have to turn the board on, just turn on the remote and the board comes on. Well, that's convenient. Didn't know it had that feature. That's super cool. So you never have to go underneath and push that button. Alright guys, well overall the board is super nice. Overall I'm really impressed with it. One of my favorite parts is the profile. It's so thin in the deck. And by the way, I took a hit right here pretty hard against the curb. Supposed to be a line going through here, you kind of see right there. And it didn't even do any kind of real damage here, guys. You can kind of see this stuff is really tough. So I hit the sidewalk dead on, fell off of it. Going straight, I thought I was going to pass it, but it wasn't even close. It takes the hit pretty good. And the great thing about this material is you can touch it up. But the motors here are amazing. I mean, they're ultra torquey. You can definitely tell a pretty big difference between hub motor style or these external motors. These just seem to have more torque because of the belt system. Also though, when you're riding through the neighborhood, this thing is making quite a whiny sound, so people can hear you coming from far away usually. So if you want a more discreet longboard, go with the hub motors. But overall, I'm really loving this board, and this thing really feels like it'll last for such a long time. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit that like button. If you want to pick up an Exway X1 Pro Riot or the hub motor version, I'll have some links in the description, so check that out. And if you enjoy videos like this, I do a lot of interesting reviews and other things on this channel. So if you're not subscribed, then hit that subscribe button to see more. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.